Hello, Windows Analysis. We explore the Windows universe, performance, hidden settings, history, hacks, and updates. If you like understanding your system, stay tuned. Today, we're diving into a really crucial security showdown, Windows Sandbox versus virtual machines. So is it better to have a disposable, throwaway lab or a permanent digital fortress? Let's find out. We've all been there. You download a file, maybe a little program from a website that's, let's just say, a bit sketchy. And you're just staring at that icon on your desktop, your hand hovering over the mouse. Is a double click going to be fine, or is it about to unleash total chaos on your system? That's the exact problem we're talking about today. The need for a safe space, a digital playground where we can test things out without any risk. So, the solution is pretty clear. We need a walled-off space, right? A kind of digital quarantine zone. And in the world of Windows, there are two main contenders for this job, each with a totally different philosophy on how to keep you safe. So let's meet them.
Okay, so here's the fundamental difference, the big idea you need to get. A virtual machine, or VM, is like a whole other computer living inside your main one. It's built to last. Anything you do in there, any file you save, it'll be there the next time you boot it up. But the Windows Sandbox? That's a completely different beast. It's a fresh, temporary clone of your system that you use once, and then, poof, the second you close it, it's gone, completely wiped. It is the ultimate use and throw-away tool.
So let's dig into the virtual machine a little bit more. Just think of it as a complete, separate PC, a piece of software called a hypervisor. We've probably heard of Hyper-V or VirtualBox. It basically carves out a piece of your real hardware and builds a digital computer with its own virtual RAM, its own hard drive, everything. It's a persistent world, which makes it absolutely perfect for long-term projects or some really deep analysis. All right, now let's talk about the Windows Sandbox. This isn't a whole new computer. Instead, it's a super lightweight, perfectly clean clone of the Windows system you're using right now. And here's the magic part. The moment you click that X to close the window, every single thing inside, every file, every program, every change, it all just vanishes. Gone, without a trace. It is digital disposability at its absolute finest.
Okay, so now we know what they are, but let's get practical. How do you get them up and running? And what kind of hit will your system's performance take? It's time for round one, the battle of convenience and resources. So, setting up a virtual machine, well, it's a bit of a project. First, you have to go find and download a massive multi-gigabyte operating system file. Then you have to create the virtual machine itself, carefully deciding how much RAM and CPU power to give it. And then you have to sit through an entire full-blown OS installation just like on a real PC. Yeah, it's a process.
And now for the sandbox. You ready for this contrast? How do you set one up? Well, you open up Windows Features, you find it in the list, you check one single box, you reboot your computer, and that's it. It's done. You have a new program in your Start menu, you click it, and in just a few seconds, a brand new clean Windows desktop appears, ready to go. The difference in convenience here is, well, it's absolutely brutal.
And the differences don't stop with a setup. Just look at how they handle your computer's resources. A VM forces you to lock down a fixed chunk of your RAM and hard drive space. It's reserved, and your main PC can't touch it. Sandbox, on the other hand, is way smarter. It dynamically shares memory with your host system and uses a really clever optimized copy of your existing system files. What does that mean for you? A much, much lighter footprint and way smoother graphics, which, as you probably know, can be a real headache in VMs. But look, ease of use and performance, that's only half the story. It's time for the main event. Round two, the security showdown. Which of these tools is the better, more secure digital bunker for keeping the bad stuff out? You see, at the end of the day, the core principle here is identical for both. The goal is to create a rock-solid barrier so that anything suspicious you run can't escape and mess with your actual computer. You know, what happens in the sandbox stays in the sandbox. But the way they achieve that goal is night and day. The VM security model is built on one word: isolation. We're talking deep, hardware-level isolation. That hypervisor software creates what's essentially a digital moat between the VM and your host computer. It's a fortress. It's a completely separate digital bunker that's walled off from everything else. Now, Sandbox's strategy is, well, it's just so much more radical. Yes, it also uses hardware virtualization for that deep isolation, but its real secret weapon, its killer feature, is that it's disposable. Just think about this. Let's say malware gets into the sandbox. It doesn't matter. The instant you close that window, the entire environment, the malware, the files it created, everything, it doesn't just get deleted, it simply ceases to exist. It evaporates. It's a scorched earth tactic for cybersecurity, and it is brilliant.
So, that brings us to the big question, the final verdict. Which one is better? A virtual machine or the Windows Sandbox? Well, like with pretty much everything in tech, the real answer is, it depends. There isn't one single winner here. What there is the right tool for the right job.
So look, let's make this really simple. You're going to want a virtual machine when you need something permanent. If you need to watch how a piece of malware behaves over several days, or you want to install and really live in a different operating system like Linux, you need the persistence of a VM. It's for those long-term projects that need a stable, unchanging setup. But if you just downloaded a suspicious .exe file and you need to see what it does right now, the speed and safety of Sandbox is just unbeatable. Want to click on a sketchy link without worrying? Sandbox. Need to test a quick program install without junking up your main system? Sandbox. It is the perfect choice anytime your priority is speed and convenience over everything else. Quick, clean, and gone in a flash.
And that kind of leaves us with a really fascinating thought to chew on. This whole trend of disposable, scorched earth environments like Sandbox, it poses a huge question. Is this the future of our day-to-day security? Will we eventually get to a point where we do almost everything in temporary environments that just get wiped away? It's a really compelling idea about where security is headed.
And that's it for today's analyses. If you liked it, subscribe, leave a like, and a comment. Enjoy tinkering, and see you in the next Windows analysis video.